All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted to have you join us as we kick off yet another insightful session on connecting the dots. First and foremost, we extend our gratitude to our esteemed speakers for their participation in this panel discussion. Sudipto Mandal, CHRO and Head HR at L&T Metro Rail Limited, Hyderabad. Srirang Tate, Head HR and Strategy at JSM Consulting Inc. Setu Shah, Global HCM Product Strategy Director at Oracle, and Lieutenant Commander Nitika Rai, Associate Manager at Ernst Young. A warm welcome to all. HREA welcomes you all to the session on this insightful topic, building a future-ready workforce, embracing continuous learning and skill development. To know more about HRA and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. I now take the privilege to introduce our moderator for this session, Lieutenant Commander Nitika Rai, Associate Manager at Ernst& Young. Nitika Rai is an Associate Manager at Ernst& Young with over a decade of experience combining military leadership and corporate expertise. Commissioned into the Indian Navy's logistic branch in 2010, she served with distinction until 2021, retiring as a lieutenant commander. She holds a PG diploma in International Supply Chain Management from Symbiosis, a PG diploma in HR and Marketing from LBSIMT, and a certification in Global Supply Chain Management from IIFT. Additionally, she is a Lean Six Sigma Green and Black Belt, SAP certified professional, and is currently pursuing a doctorate in supply chain management from Rushford Business School, Switzerland. Nedika has been recognized with several prestigious awards, including HRAI's 40 Under 40, Best Woman of Excellence 2022, Exceptional Woman of Excellence at the Women Economic Forum, the Lady Leadership in Security Award, and the Women Achievers Award by the HR Association of India. With a strong foundation in logistics, supply chain, and analytics, she is passionate about driving operational excellence and helping organizations achieve greater efficiency through innovative solutions. To know more about Nitika, you can follow him on LinkedIn, follow her on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. Without wasting much time, I hand over the platform to you, Nitika.
Hey, thanks, Faisal, for the warm intro. Thank you everyone for joining, and a very good afternoon to everyone. We do have our, I know I have met few panelists here. Setu, I think we met before, right? Then I had Srirang. I have Srirang. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, Srirang, and then Sudipto, right? So I'll go ahead one by one, and I'll share with you all the intro of our esteemed panelist, starting with Setu Shah. Setu Shah is a dynamic digital technology leader with over 20 years of experience spanning continents, cultures, and industries. As a global HCM product strategy director at Oracle, he combines deep expertise in product strategy, AI, and human resources to shape the future of work. Setu is passionate about storytelling, psychology, mentoring early stage startups, and nurturing first generational learners. Thank you, Setu, for joining. Looking forward for more interaction in this session. Then we have Shrirang. Uh, with 27 years of cross-industry experience in engineering, automotive, chemical, staffing, and IT services, Srirang Tate is a dynamic leader who has successfully bridged technical expertise with innovative HR strategies. Beginning his career in manufacturing, he gained hands-on experience in operations, supply chain management, quality control, vendor management, project management, union negotiations, and performance improvement programs. Over the past 2 decades, Srirang has passionately contributed to HR ecosystem, driving impactful initiatives across talent acquisition, organizational development, and employee engagement. and alumnus of Symbiosis Institute of Business Management 2003 with dual master's degrees in operations and human resources from InSearch, Pune. Shirang is also fellow of the World HR Board and an active member of global HR forums. In his current role, he works as head of HR and strategy for a minority women-owned company in United States. Shirang lives in New Jersey, USA, with his wife, and he has 2 kids. Thank you, Shirang, for joining.
Thank you, Nitika. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you. And then, last but not the least, we have with us Sudipto. All right. Sudipto Mandal is a strategic and transformational HR leader with over 26 years of industry experience across different sectors ranging from manufacturing, infrastructure technology, IT, ITES, FMCG, BFSI, and retail in MNCs and leading in conglomerates. Currently working with Larsen & Toubro Limited as the CHRO and head HR L&T Metro Rail Hyderabad Limited. He is an alumnus of TISS, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and has worked with different organizations such as Asian Paints, ZSS, Oracle, Spencer's, Crystal, Everready, and Stark Cement as CHRO and senior HR leader Sudeepta is a business leader whereas he is intensely worked in areas like business strategy, HR strategy, and culture transformation, customer success, leadership development, change management, capability building, talent performance management, organization design, and restructuring. Sudeepta is a regular speaker at different prestigious forums and conferences, including Economic Times, Business World, NHRDN, and he conducts guest lectures in renowned B schools, including IIMS and NITs. He is also a certified coach and certified trainer on customer service management. As a techno-functional Oracle HRMS consultant, Sudeepto has also worked in line function in Oracle Global Support Team, supporting UK and EMEA regions. He has also served as an honorary president of Kolkata chapter of NHRDN, the largest body and forum for HR in India. Oh my God. Awesome.
Thank you, Nikita.
Thanks, Sudeepto. And thank you everyone for joining in. Shall I go ahead and start with the questions? All right.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just start with first question to you, Setu. Right. Since we're talking on, building workflows, the first question to you is, how can organization future-proof their workflow amidst rapid technological and industrial disruptions?
Thanks a lot for the question and a warm welcome to everyone taking time in an afternoon to attend this session. So very topical. How do we future-proof workforce amidst rapid technological and innovation and industry disruptions? I believe we all build the future together, and we can do that in our own organizations in broadly 3 ways. The first one would be in terms of building a skills framework, and that would be a lightweight set of skills which are married to the job architecture, having clearly defined its purpose across the different business functions and pervasive across all HR functions. Now, what I mean by pervasive across all HR functions is that right from planning of workforce to hiring to even scheduling shifts, uh, I think at every place, if at all, there are skills available which are tagged to the employees and are required at the business. A lot of meaningful shift scheduling, hiring, workforce planning, at the same time, even deputation, assigning people on projects, having objective performance discussions, career planning conversations, talent cohort discussions, and a lot can be done. So I believe skills is extremely pervasive across the entire segment of HR functions. The second aspect here would be embracing agile structures. Now, here the idea would be to build agile squads morph business that can morph based on business needs. Now, these cross-functional teams can be rapidly deployed or redeployed in terms of talent where the need is the most. Now, imagine an organization having a roadmap of doing a digital transformation followed by something related to generative AI, automation, and the likes. Having a diverse set of skills based talent is something that can be very readily and easily deployed across a lot of interesting initiatives that could come up. In my experience, almost every diverse conglomerate in India has built this capacity so that they can pivot, they can acquire and merge businesses as required. And it's definitely doable for a lot of professional services organizations as well to build a cohort of people knowing, say, for example, generative AI from different departments to form an advisory board. The third aspect here would be investing in HR tech and analytics, leveraging AI-driven platforms to build skills inventory, predict skills gaps, as well as personalized learning paths would be a great initiative as far as the investing in HR tech and analytics. Overall, I believe we live in an era of abundance. There is an abundance of tools, ideas, opportunities, and we need to invest time in identifying what is most relevant and invest efforts in its execution. Possibly the first time in the history that innovation in business and technology has accelerated ahead of HR needs and asks, and how much and how soon can we adapt and adopt would be a question. So just to round it up, three aspects that I believe are extremely important for us, all of us to build the future. One is building a skills framework. Second is embracing agile structures. And the third one would be investing in HR tech and analytics.
All right. Thanks, Setu. And I think to your and I would like to also sum your answer. Like what I got it from your point here is that the soft skill. If I take out this, these are technical verbiage which you mentioned, right? As a layman, I would say that upskilling, which we are all talking about. Curiosity. To do things. Very very basic terms. I'll just and matching up with what is happening around, right? And also I would say learning from people around, learning from your juniors, that's also very important, and as well as from your seniors, of course.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Setu, for sharing your insights. My next question is to Shirang. Shirang, what does future ready workforce look like in practical and measurable terms?
Yeah, thank you, Nitika, for the question, and welcome everyone who is attending the session today. So, we are looking at a scenario today which is so ever evolving. What worked for us probably a year, 2 year back seems obsolete, with the current scenario. So the onus stays on the organization to see what are the possibilities that can be offered to the workforce and see how they are ready for the next set of challenges. Couple of things that come to me in terms of on a broader aspect is for the business, basically what were the opportunities that were offered or that came their way, and how many they were able to win, or they were able to convert into it. So that could be one of the major metrics for the organization to look after. But for the workforce specifically, I would say offering trainings or investing in emerging tech, understanding if that is resulting in the workforce able to grab given opportunities in emerging tech. How is it resulting in employability? Is the employability increasing? How are people meaningfully occupied on their jobs? The other is also something that I've seen in a few organizations is they are investing in something called as innovation labs or emerging tech labs, wherein they are taking specific projects that they foresee these technologies will um, be available as a opportunity coming forward. So they are inviting people to contribute to these innovation labs, emerging tech labs, and developing or building new products. So that is another area which is coming up right now. And overall, if we look at it from a global perspective, we all call each other as global citizens, global workforce, I would believe. So we need to look for a workforce that is not just local ready, but available or considered for a global opportunities. And this actually is applicable for all sectors. Like we are talking primarily, we discuss a lot major for the IT sector, which is of course the major employer today. But I'm speaking specifically also from the automotive and manufacturing sectors, which are also the base of the entire um, industry that we are part of today. So yeah, that's what I would like to summarize. So for the organization, it is again the opportunities that came their way, whether they were able to grab it, whether they had the workforce ready for it. That could be one of the metric. And then for the workforce, the organizations can create these emerging tech labs, innovation labs, um, bridging the academia and the corporate gap to the lowest level, because we're still experiencing that the curriculum that are offered in these universities are still little behind in terms of what the global requirements are. So these are a few things I believe can help do a much better on the skill program. Thank you.
Thanks, Srirang, and that was pretty much insightful. And what I remember is when I was in services, right, and we were being told that what if, and you get trained according to the war, right? If I was in Navy and I was 22-year-old and I was being trained to do things which kind of a drills, right? We made future ready, right? And now when I transition from military to corporate, so what I understand is, and there is an internship which happens. So I think applying the organization applying mindset to the youngsters, when you catch them young and you train them young, because they are the future leaders, right? And then you mold them, and they are the go-getters. So I think to my understanding, I think that's also measurable, and that's also practical, wherein you help the youngsters to grow, and during the internship you train them what's happening around, right? uh, Thank you. Well, thank you for your insights, Srirang.
Absolutely great points, Nikita.
Thanks, Srirang. All right. My third question is to Sudipto. Sudipto, what role does leadership play in fostering a culture of continuous learning?
Uh, okay, I think leadership plays the maximum role, and I think the major role, I would say, because uh, you know, uh, learning is something. In my view, I think it has got two aspects. One is the culture, is the systems and processes, right? And they need to really go hand in hand. Otherwise, it will not be really possible to get the optimum result that you are looking from in terms of creating a continuous culture, continuous learning culture, right? Now, I'm saying that culture is important because through culture you actually inspire people. You create an environment where people see and then around themselves and get inspired. I think this is very true for everything, because when you grow up, what you see in your peers, that inspires you, right? Directly, knowingly or unknowingly. When you are going into the, you talked about being in services. In services, you see everybody is dedicated, everybody is sincere, everybody is focused, everybody is proud about the country. They are so proud that they are willing to give their lives, right? That inspires, right? So that environment creates a huge role, and that environment is built by leadership. right? So that's one very important aspect of the culture, and we have to understand that if we really keep only the culture part and make continuous learning as an optional extra thing, then it will still not work. So the second thing which I'm going to talk about is that how to integrate this as a part of the systems and the processes in an organization. So there has to be system to reward people who are doing continuous learning, and there should be a system to punish people if they are not really focusing on the learning. Then only the continuous learning will come into the mainstream of an organization. If it is not as a part of the mainstream, then it will always remain optional extra, and people will only do learning as and when it is favorable to them. But to have this integrated view, I think this culture as well as the putting the systems and processes important. Now, what do you mean by systems and processes? Probably I'll elaborate a little bit more. You have your PMS system, performance management system. So performance management system should have some rewarding or punitive provisions to ensure that continuous learning is accordingly rewarded or getting punished. And so eventually that will help in terms of your career growth and all. So of course there are a lot of other benefits, as you all understand why you are even focusing on continuous learning. But to start with that, I think these two aspects are extremely important.
Yeah. So I think what I picked up is rewards and recognitions, because that's the kind of a motivation even for a child, right? And also you mentioned the disciplined way of continuous learning. That is to to remind people that in order to learn there are ways wherein you can get punished or warned, right? And I also understand that the continuous, I mean, it's the organization push as well as the push from the individual as well, right? If he's is keen to go ahead and do the upskilling and forms the kind of a he can form the chain wherein his peers and can also upskill seeing him, and that happens within the family as well, in the organization and the family also. We learn from our peers, from our parents, from our siblings. So thank you so much, Sudipto, for your wonderful insights. Setu, coming back to you, how can continuous learning be aligned with both individual career aspirations and organizational strategy?
So, Nitika, as you rightly said, I think every individual kind of gets excited by awards and rewards and acknowledgements, and that's true. I think in today's modern work culture, where every individual wants that their personal goals are aligned to the organizational goals, or vice versa, for that matter, right? I mean, for the employees who are extremely dedicated and who want to contribute towards organizational purpose. They want that to be tied to their personal goals and aspirations as well. I believe, as Sudipto ji mentioned as well, I think there needs to be a structure in place for this to be institutionalized. The first thing that most organizations can do is be a little more open and transparent in terms of sharing their organizational strategic roadmaps. So I think based on industry, business initiatives, any kind of strategic vision that companies have, they can simply lay down some macro level streams where they intend to grow. It could be in terms of operational efficiency, it could be in terms of manufacturing, it could be in terms of innovation, and a lot more. Okay. In terms of where and how they want to grow. And obviously, this can change almost every year or 6 months as the business and the industry continues to churn and continues to make newer waves. The second aspect would be in terms of having personalized coaches. And while I understand that it at times becomes an extremely expensive affair in today's day and time, personalized AI career coaches could be a way to go, because according to a lot of studies that I read, employees are far more open to speaking with the AI coaches than anyone else, than even their managers, because at times they feel that they'll be judged. In today's time, you will find a lot of people kind of creating diaries and the likes with Chat GPT in terms of treating them as they are not just career coaches, but at times even life coaches. So imagine an AI-based career coach that recommends a course to an individual or an employee or a role that fits his or her aspirations, skills, and also paves the way for them through various learning initiatives. It could be through courses, through projects, through gigs, mentoring, reverse mentoring, as you mentioned, and a lot more. So I think that's something that in line with AI adoption and employees' continuous learning, personalized AI coaches, could make interesting waves today. The third aspect here is overall fostering a culture of learning. And as I think Sudipto alluded to as well, awarding, rewarding, acknowledging individuals as well as teams who are able to meet their business goals along with their learning goals, operationalizing encouragement to participate in learning initiatives through regular check-ins, performance reviews, while keeping the impact and outcomes absolutely open-ended. And this is where a little bit of creativity and flexibility comes into play, that you allow individuals to explore learnings based on their individual preferences and or business priorities. It could be an interesting or a unique blend of both. Lastly, learning analytics scorecard is something that could be provided at various levels, right? Not just at leadership level or at L&D level, but even across managers, teams, and employees, so that they have their own scorecards with them. They can see and visualize their progress over a period of time on not just their individual aspirations, but overall business KPIs as well. So to summarize, I believe these are the three aspects that would foster continuous learning. One is organizational organizations being a little more open about their strategic roadmaps and sharing it with the teams. Secondly, personalized AI career coaches, and lastly, institutionalizing everything around creating a culture of learning.
Thanks, Setu, and I do like that AI based career coach. I have not tried it, but yeah, that's a good
I would
point.
strongly recommend. There are a lot of free ones available as well, and a lot of organizations today have started adopting AI-based career coaches. I mean, we all hear about agentic AI and the likes, but I think this is already a practical reality.
Yeah, and I also, the second point which I would like to call it out is open door policy. Wherein you say is that sharing the roadmaps, right? And I would add that allowing the team to edit the roadmap. Yeah, isn't it? And scorecards and R&R. Well, covering all the points here. Thank you, Setu, for your insights on this question. Coming back to Shirang. Shirang, how should leaders balance immediate business goals with long-term skill development priorities? Over to you.
Yeah, Nitika. So, historically, um, businesses have always looked at what is coming to them in terms of opportunities, like I mentioned previously, and then going into the market and seeing if there are resources available. Now, the two ways were people who are already experienced, whom we call as lateral hires, and then people whom can be groomed, people coming from universities who take relevant education and they could be provided some training after they are onboarded. So overall, there has been a gap in the industry on these matters, and um, one of the ways most of the organizations have tried to address it is by creating very robust L&D functions which address these issues, um, you know in terms of, like I mentioned before, the emerging tech. So you know right now the robotics, AI for manufacturing, automotive, we are discussing about electric vehicles, hydrogen engines that are coming up. For civil industry, we are looking at the concrete mixers and all these things that are coming up that are more green, environmental friendly. So all these things, with the labs that I was mentioning, most of the organizations are working on those labs, and they are identifying that these are some things that are going to come up, and let's see if we can experiment, create products, create applications, create new ways of doing things. And that part will then get translated to the academia. So the curriculum will have to change. The students will need those kind of professors who can teach them these new technologies. And like Setu mentioned, I would like to add or rather take it ahead that the same AI factor will also gradually come into the academia. So the human factor cannot be lost. That's what I have been strongly promoting. But adopting these technologies and grooming the academia and the students is a very big way to create something like a workforce that is available for the future needs. From the organization perspective, L&D has always been existing. I would rather say it has evolved in the last at least 10 years. So allocating budgets, like Nitika, you are from the defense. We see that every year government allocates certain funds towards our defense. So there has to be a commitment to L&D, a genuine commitment where the investment is not just in giving trainings or certifications to the employees or the workforce, but also involving them in the new technologies, emerging technologies, and see how they are coping up with those, and how are they coming up with the market requirements, because we are all driven by the market overall. Whatever the market is going on, we are basically walking on the same lines. So these are a few things, that I believe will certainly help the business as well as the individuals as we go forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Shreyang, and thank you for your insights. And uh, I'll strongly, get connected when you talk about saying, giving a when we were giving some funds when I was in services, and we were being told to give reports every week to tell them that we have spent so much and how we have spent, and then we've been trained, we've been interviewed, and then we have been posted accordingly so that we performed. And when you're posted, then your 2 years is gone. You have to perform, right, under the same head. You cannot do not have an option to switch in service. So so thank you so much, Srirang. Coming back to you, Sudipto. My question to you is, how can organization create an environment where learning agility is valued as highly as technical expertise?
Yeah. Okay. Nitika, I really don't see any contradiction in that, right? Because both learning agility and the technical expertise, they go hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Even to build your technical expertise, you need to have the learning agility. So why this contradiction? I really don't understand, right? So I feel they are complementing each other, and they have to be always, interlinked. Now, that aspect has to be understood by leadership, by employees, by all the stakeholders. And I see how would you look into that when you see that, in my view, there is a micro aspect and there's a macro aspect to that, right? In micro aspect, if there is no learning agility, the individual will not grow and eventually will become obsolete. So there is a need for the individual to, have the learning agility within himself or herself to keep, abreast with what's happening and what's coming up. Why the macro aspect is important? Because macro aspect takes us to the organization. The organization looks at it that how do I get the best output, productivity from my employees? That's why organizations invest on learning, right? It is also your budget and basically investment for future, right? So I think whatever even Setu or Srirang they talked about in terms of the future ready organizations, if you're really looking at the future, then investment is the right word for future. It is not for past. So similarly, organization will look from the macro aspect that's okay, I want output and productivity. And that is for their need for survival for future. You have to create that culture, you have to encourage people, you have to institutionalize systems and processes within the organization in such a manner that the learning agility goes up. So it's a benefit for both. It's a win-win situation, and therefore I see that there is no contradiction, and both have to be valued equally well. Right? The moment you give one, probably preference on the other, then the optimization would not happen.
Exactly. And I also, when I was just going through this question, and what I understand is, so I think technical expertise is a subset of learning agility. I think, and isn't it, Sudipto? And so learning agility is a kind of a soft skill, right?
I would say a little differently, Nitika. I would say that technical expertise is an outcome, whereas learning agility is the mean to reach to that outcome.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, it's a mean to reach that. Yes. Uh, Thank you, Sudipto. Thank you for your insights. Now coming to Setu. Setu, what are the key skills, technical and human, that will define workforce readiness in the next decade?
With I think the pace at which things are changing in the recent times, I'm sure most of the predictions are going to be absolutely wrong. I'll still try to give my stab at it. Um, in terms of technical skills, I believe literacy around AI and machine learning is going to be extremely important. And I very consciously use the word literacy here because, I mean, all of us need not be AI or ML experts, but then again, just to know what it is and where to use it and how to use, I think that's going to be crucial as a technical skill. A second one is going to be about storytelling through data and insights, or we call it data analytics and digital fluency as such. And the third technical skill that I believe it's going to be in trend even possibly a decade from now is going to be green economy skill sets. Now, be it related to sustainable operations or a lot of green HR related aspects. I think that's going to be the third technical skill, which is going to be important. As far as human skills are concerned, um, I believe something known as prompt engineering. Now, I love how most of the reports today kind of state that, okay, prompt engineering is a technical skill for everyone. I feel and I believe it's more like the good old question thinking. Now, how do you ask your questions with enough context to explain the problem in the most relevant way? I believe that that is something which is prompt engineering, and I'm sure at an early career age or early age in the industry, we all start learning that in terms of how to ask the right questions or the questions which give you the most appropriate answers. The next one would be adaptability and resilience in line with the earlier question that Sudipto alluded to. And the last one is going to be critical thinking. Now, this is something that is very, very core and innate to us. That we are absolutely we are a lot more rational at the same time emotional, and hence I believe critical thinking would be the third human skill that would be one of the most important ones in the decades to come as well.
Thank you. So I resonate with first, second point, third point. That is green economy, right? You're talking about green economy, and so how I mean, I'm just trying to
Sure. Go ahead.
know that as a like you talk about green economy, so we're talking about the next decade. So how are you foreseeing it, Setu? You're seeing like sustainability, ESG, economic sustainable governance, all these policies are there now. Like for AI, ML, it just started and now it's in boom, and so we are foreseeing it that in next decade these skills are required, right? To my understanding, and I'm sure I might be a little out of, I don't have much of knowledge on this, but green economy has been, it's not new. We have been doing it from past, or you wanted to add something, and you want to add something, and you foresee that in, in future decades, it'll boom, and so just.
So I agree with you. I think green economy is not something that is new,
Mhm.
but I think in recent times it's catching up a lot more steam than what it used to. So I think the Global Paris Summit that we all kind of are aware of, and the numerous ESG goals which were there. Even till date, I think most of the organizations and most of the countries are nowhere close to achieving that. There are just, I think, the top three or top five organizations who are absolutely focused about it and are doing it pretty well. But at the same time, at a country level, or there are quite a few countries who are shying away from it right now with the change in regimes. I'm sure, we all have heard that in the news. And most of the nations have a goal towards 2040 or 2050 to achieve that. So while I think right now there is a lot of experimentation which is ongoing, a lot of innovation is going to be realized, I believe, in the next decade. And that's where a lot of operationalization and execution is going to come at play. At the same time, with I think the massive pervasiveness of AI across almost everything that we do, that is energy heavy and energy intensive. Okay. And that is pushing a lot of organizations to rethink, how much and uh, what would be the right equatable way to use AI? Because while I think the technology keeps on getting cheaper, or rather, more reasonable, the energy consumption behind it, it increases multifolds. So that would be another trade-off that I think not just tech firms, but every organization today is going to start thinking on going forward. Does that broadly answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I added one more question to you, Setu. But now coming to Srirang, the last question to you. How should organization rethink talent acquisition strategies in the era of continuous reskilling?
Yeah, Nitika. So I would like to go back from where I started my career, in HR. So recruitment is something which came up as my first job after I left my career in manufacturing. So uh, it's very close to my heart because I have always, it's a role which is not just attracting talent, it is also a sales job, right? So if we look at, like I've pointed earlier as well, historically, the gap has been pretty significant. We are trying to close the gap even now. And we have been told to hire for attitude, and skills can be trained, right? So and because this understanding went out into the market that okay, and which is perfectly fine. Attitude is something, as long as someone has a great attitude, skills can be trained. But then the skills were left for the organization to address, and that put a lot of pressure on L&D as a function, because the workforce that came in with a lot of gaps. So um, I have two to three things, major things that I would like to point out here. First is, of course, the training for the talent acquisition team in itself. Um, Bringing them on board, like Setu mentioned, the transparency factor, giving them an understanding that this is the direction of the organization. Okay, this is where the organization is going in terms of emerging tech, and giving the functional aspect of what exactly is AI, what is ML, because keyword searching can be disastrous in terms of searching for candidates, right? So giving a functional overview of these technologies, understanding of these could be a major point for L&D going forward as far as talent acquisition team is concerned for any organization. Second aspect, which I highlighted earlier as well, is investing um, within the organization, wherein emerging tech can be absorbed as a way of work, and not as a need-based arrangement. Okay. And the third aspect, while we are looking at talent acquisition, is the aspect of campus to corporate. So again, this is something that I have been observing for last 20 years. The gap has never been reduced. But the one thing that I see now is the corporate is giving real-time feelers to academia in terms of what is happening with the global market scenario. And academia, I would really like to applaud them, because what I've been seeing in the last couple of years, a lot of new innovative ideas are coming through hackathons, right? So if we look at from talent acquisition perspective, maybe the model can be little diverted, and rather than having a formal interviews, candidates can be selected through hackathons or project-based hiring. You offer some projects, some mentoring. I think Setu mentioned earlier about that point. You mentor a certain group of students, see how they're doing over a period of year, and you might want to absorb them. So the organizations will have less time training these people, and these people could be employable, or in IT terms, billable as early as possible. So that saves a lot of time. The last point, Nitik, I would like to share, which is again a bit of a concern for me right now, I am sure everyone sees it in that way, is how the emerging tech is going to affect the job market as well. The more we see AI, ML, all these things coming up, I'm talking specifically from the IT sector, these technologies are going to do a lot of simple end jobs, or even simple to complex jobs that right now we have people to do it, right? So as a L&D also, that is one area where we will have to create the workforce from a emotional quotient perspective, maybe empathy perspective, because that is something that would get lost overall, if we focus more on just training the workforce, preparing them for what may come ahead. From emotional empathy perspective, also something that is pretty critical. So yeah, that's all I would like to say about it.
Thank you, Srirang. And well, I liked it. We are hiring on attitude. Skills will be trained. I like, I like this sentence. But I also wanted to say that Setu also said that since you're afraid of AI being, getting AI replacing humans, but he said that won't replace humans. So that way, going forward, I'm not sure, but we
yet yeah
yeah,
yeah we yet don't know. I mean,
yeah,
like I
we
said,
yet don't
there
know. Yeah,
is, yeah, but and that's the point, right? People are afraid today if their
exactly.
job will be
Yeah,
there today, it is there, whether it will be there tomorrow. So preparing the
exactly.
workforce on those ideas as well, is very important.
So
So
if I,
very
if I,
important.
if I
Yeah,
no, please go ahead. Then I just have a point on that, Srirang, if
go
you
ahead,
want. See,
Sudipto, go ahead.
I don't feel that this is going to happen at all. It's a continuous evolution. For example, if you remember in 1980s, when the first computerization came in India, particularly in the banking sector, there was a huge uproar by all the trade unions and strikes, etc., that we'll all lose our job. But eventually that has not happened. Basically, technology is an enabler to bring in more productivity and efficiency. So the moment that is happening, the role of human being is also elevating to the next level in terms of what better things that they can do. If you look at AI ML, somebody has created the backend, algorithm codes, etc. for AI ML. So it sounds very easy that okay, AI ML is happening, but then your role becomes, from the IT perspective, if I talk about that, how do you create that at the back end? So that is much more complex than just running the operation.
And
Right?
it's a human who has done it.
Human who has done it, and continuously more and more technology will come. That means that creating that enabler will be done by human beings, and the roles will be elevating continuously to a higher level, towards doing more strategic work, towards making more meaningful work, towards more future ready work. and technologically more future technology oriented work, and creating the backend work, the framework of that, construct of that, the logic, that would be the role coming up. So I don't see that, just because technology is coming, it is going to replace the human being completely. That would never happen. Yes, it is going to constantly replace the low-end jobs. And as and when the low-end jobs are getting replaced, then human being is moving continuously towards the higher-end jobs. That's my thought.
Yeah. That's the right way to conclude, Sudipto. And on similar lines, creating that workforce, so understanding what's coming up, and if the lower level jobs probably might need upskilling, is where I was looking at that aspect. So, but you rightly put it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. So now my question to you, Sudipto. What are the biggest culture or mindset barriers to continuous skill development, and how can we overcome them?
It's the question is like oxymoron, Nitika. I'm saying the question is like oxymoron.
Okay.
Because cultural and mindsets, these are the two biggest barriers, for the continuous skill development. Okay, that's what I look at it. And jokes apart, I think now let's drill it down to further. When you say mindset, then the question is the mindset of what? The mindset is, okay, I don't want to spend. So it's a cost mindset. The moment you are talking the cost mindset, then you are not going to invest on learning. Then you will not build on infrastructure. Okay. So Setu is there. Setu knows that HCM capability, whether it is Oracle or from anybody else, that cost money hugely, right? So if you look at the short-term results, then you are not going to invest on that. If you think that, okay, my business is going to be very short-term, then you are not going to invest even on people. So that's the mindset aspect, and that's the barrier that is there, which is going to hinder the continuous skill development. On the cultural side, I think primarily the culture of build versus buy, I think that's where many organizations look for. And if they're really looking for long-term, then they will invest on building things rather than buying things. Let me explain what is build versus buy. So if you really, for example, you are in a product and you have been running this product for a long time. So you have already built certain skill internally. So now your job would be that, I think Nitika, you're also talking about that, how do you get more and more management trainees or more trainees, and then building them for future, in terms of the skill development and otherwise. So that's the building or the developing aspects for the employees or from the people perspective. Now your company is trying to suddenly diversify into a new area. So you do not really have that business acumen for that. You have just decided to diversify. Then you don't have the right skills and competencies internally. Then you look for that, okay, I'm going to buy it from outside. So this is something which is a strategic way of looking versus build and buy. But the moment I talk about the culture, that means there are organizations that they look at it. So why am I going to really build and invest on building on people or developing the people? Rather, I'll easily buy it from the market. But if you go by the research, you will see all the large organizations, established organizations, big organizations, those who are focusing more on the buy, then they are going to really fail, because there is a cultural integration that doesn't happen for the employees coming in from outside. There are a lot of other complex aspects from the HR point of view, that the parity gets distorted, so on and so forth. So people come in, people go, that kind of optimum result that they look for in the long term, they don't get it. So that's why the prudent organizations, if you really look at some of those, I should not be probably naming the names, but those who are really focusing on taking people from the GET campuses, there's the engineering campuses from IITs and ITs, or the management campuses from IIMs, etc. They really spend on employees in terms of building and developing people for their future. So as a result, they lose very few people, and in terms of the entire succession structure, you will find their first preference always goes that, okay, we have a ready person inside the organizations, because I have already built them for future, and that's why I'm going to put them immediately. So the cost of that is going to be much higher if you're continuously trying to buy and look for short term. So I think that's why I'm saying that both culture and mindset, these are the most or the biggest barriers towards the continuous skill development.
And I think, and I also add on to your point, I think, so what if we go ahead with build also and integrate it with buy going forward, right?
Yeah, you are right, Nitika. See, basically, you cannot have either build or buy strategy. It has to be optimal combination of that. But the point is, that's the point I'm saying. The moment, because there would be certain areas where you need to infuse new thinking, new people outside in perspective. That's where the buying is important. But the point is, the moment you are focusing only on buy, then there is a problem that comes.
All right, thank
So
you,
Nitika and Sudipto ji, just to add to it, I think now with the gig economy also flourishing, the concept has changed to build, buy, borrow, or subscribe, whatever you can in terms of talent, to get the work done, and more importantly, to meet the business objectives.
Absolutely, absolutely right. And that's, somebody said it's a market driven. So
Yeah.
it is more like that it is becoming market driven. So that context is different, because the moment you are moving towards the gig economy, then the focus on continuous skill development, that context is becoming little irrelevant if I'm completely gig way of looking at it. Because then I'm really looking at people who are coming from outside, available people, and going, they are joining. So so everything cannot be taken in isolation. But as you rightly said, that the concepts are expanding. So organizations is not limited to now build and buy. They're also moving into gig kind of a situation like that.
Just to add to it, in terms of what you said, gigs nowadays, a lot of organizations are seeing gigs more as a continuous learning exercise as well, where they are saying that gigs does not mean we are going to hire people from outside. Say, for example, if an employee is working for 5 days a week and he or she is very excited to work on something interesting, something innovative that the organization is doing, they can kind of give out a few more hours of their week to that gig. It could be paid or unpaid. I mean, that's a different discussion. But then again, that gives the internal employees that opportunity to try to work on something new. And imagine when they kind of land up on a project, on their next project, they can definitely say that, okay, I've already tried this, or I know how it's done. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you are giving the definition to that as a gig, then is absolutely correct. But that concept, Setu, has been there for long earlier also. If you look at Google, like that innovation center, what they are talking about, that okay, you take some time out, you think on the innovation, you continuously learn skill. There are organizations who may not be in the IT sector, but maybe in the core sectors. They always look at, in the talent management process, that how do you put people in a cross-functional project, give them different experiences, outside in perspective. So that's the development they are doing it, right? So that they can take up new things. Coming back to another point, these organizations like Asian Paints, where I have worked before, or some other FMCGs, they talk about the general management, right? They are not talking the specializing. The moment you look at the general management, that means a person coming from HR background, you also move into finance, marketing, supply chain, and vice versa. That happens. So when you really look at the pyramid, the persons taking up higher positions, they are aware of the entire thing. So that those concepts is not new. They've been there for long. It was happening structurally, and the way I probably look at the gig something is, it is the contract itself, employer-employee contract itself is becoming gig, saying that okay, today I am okay. You may not be on my role directly, but if you are a gig for a particular assignment, particular project, anybody can come in and work and finish it and go anytime. So no long-term contractual liability that I have on you, and vice versa.
Got it. Lovely.
Awesome. I could see Faisal. Hey Faisal. I think we are already, we are past 4 minutes, right? 4 it is. Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you, Setu, Shiraj, and Sudipto, for your time and valuable insights. Thank you so much. Faisal, over to you.
Thank you, Nitika.
Thank you, Nitika, for your expert facilitation. Your guidance brought both energy and depth to the discussion, steering it with great clarity and focus. Grateful appreciation to Sudipto, Srirang, and Setu for sharing their insightful perspective and thoughtful contributions. Your thoughtful contribution helped shape a rich and engaging conversation around how organizations can navigate the evolving landscape of skill, technology, and continuous learning. The practical perspective and real world experience you shared offered immense value to our audience, inspiring both reflection and action. Your time and effort made this session truly impactful. Looking forward to many more such enriching and engaging conversations ahead. For those eager to revisit today's insights, the session recording is available on our YouTube link shared in the chat window. A special thanks to our event partners Geisha, NASCOM COE, Talgro, TLE, WICCI, LinkedIn Local Ahmedabad and India for their invaluable support in making this event a success. To learn more about these associations, please refer to the links provided in the chat. We look forward to welcoming you to our next session on the topic Balancing Work and Life, the Role of Employers in Redefining Boundaries on May 15th, 2025. With that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you for being part of this journey. Wishing you good health, positivity, and success until we meet again. Take care and farewell for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Thank you,
Faisal,
Faisal.
HREI, and
Thank you.
everyone else. Cheers,
Thank you,
bye.
Faisal,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nitika, Srirang, Shah, and of course HREI. It was a
Thank you. Thank
pleasure
you, Sudipto.
interacting with all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.